This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Beard is looking mighty straggly these days.
Don't even. I fucking shaved my whole head the other day at home.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast, where each week we take a deep dive into the good, the bad, and the awesome of wrestling video games. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am George Feis, and today we are playing All-Star Pro Wrestling 3. How is this game going to hold up? Is it going to get to play it forever? Woo! For a future endeavor. We also discuss a fantasy WWE verse AEW Fighting Game Roster and more.
That should be a fun one. And please subscribe and leave a 5-star review for this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on all forms of social media at GameMarksPod. Is anyone using Thread anymore? I don't know. And don't forget, you can get this episode early and ad-free at patreon.com/GameMarksPod, along with access to our Discord channel, the soft lock question, some giveaways, some Q&As, all that fun stuff. George, what is up?
I don't know about you, but I'm
feeling
ready.
22.
I'm ready for X. Twitter is gone. I'm ready for X.
What do you mean? Yeah, it's still the logo coming up. It's kind of weird.
It's very strange. Also, my hat just broke mid podcast, so that's
Is it
fun.
the Pro Wrestling Tees hat?
It is.
Is it end of an era for this podcast?
So that's going away. Hi.
All right, end of an era. No more Pro Wrestling Tees hats on this podcast. We both destroyed them. How you feeling? Last week, Rockpocalypse.
I brought it up to Swoggle while we were recording that podcast, and he's like, "What are you guys playing this week?" I was like, "Well, as you're listening to this podcast, the current episode is Rockpocalypse," and he stopped and he went, "What?" And I had to cut it because he curses so much, but he just went, "What the fuck is a Rockpocalypse?" And then I had to explain it to him. But
rightfully so. Yeah,
the general consensus is that not a lot of people knew what the game was, and because of that, it didn't get a great reception. And that's just where we are. That's where the game lives now.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy editing the episode. I didn't enjoy listening to it back. I didn't enjoy watching the playthrough.
I think it's the hardest playthrough I've ever edited because there's just there's not a lot to it.
You know what? Just sitting back and watching me struggle again with playing the game, I just turned it off.
Rarely do I feel bad for you during gameplay. But that one, I was like, you could tell right from the jump that you were not having a good time.
No, it's not fun. But what have you been playing? Anything good? You diving into anything new these days?
I wanted to propose this question a couple of weeks ago, but I forgot. And it just dawned on me again. So obviously you have done Road to the Elite. We've talked about your playthrough on the podcast a few times.
I'm on my third one already.
How are you faring in that opening battle royal?
Okay.
Have you won, or are you getting like halfway through and getting eliminated?
So first time around, I was eliminated immediately. I don't think I was used to the controls yet. Second time around, I actually made it pretty far, but the story continues just the same as if you're eliminated early.
Okay.
And then third time around, I picked Jeff Hardy, and I didn't have to do it. So.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So I want to know, if you're out there and you're listening to the podcast and you won. I haven't won, but I want to know what happens if it changes, and that's kind of my new goal.
I haven't actually played that game in a while. I've been once I got the terabyte external for my Xbox, I've just been going nuts with whatever is on the Game Pass.
Yeah,
but
we talked about how that was going to open up a whole can of worms for you. And
yeah, a lot of NHL still, though. Obviously, I'm never going to not play that. But I switch back and forth. I got MLB The Show. I've been playing Age of Empires 2 again. I get sick of it because I just play the shit out of it. And then I come back to it eventually. But playing the computer gets so repetitive after a while, and you just win, and it's just, all right, maybe I should take a break. So today I actually started a like 8-team bloodbath game where I just said I'm going to pick 8 teams and we're just going to go at it and see who wins. But my computer could not handle the 8 teams and it just kept crashing. But I'm looking right now. It has in Age of Empires, I have 9 days played and 11 hours.
Wow.
Which is probably the most out of any game I own.
Wow. I just saw that you responded to my question earlier that I had asked you about Rocket League, because I have been jumping back into Rocket League. It's a game that I have had a love-hate relationship with for a number of years, mainly just because I can't get my car to do what I always wanted to do. But that's a learned talent that I have not mastered yet. But for some reason, I still find the game very fun, and I constantly go back to it. And yeah,
I have
talked about Sideswipe for a long time. And,
I want to get back to that too.
Yeah, I still haven't installed. I open it up every now and then. I play. It's, you know what it is for me for that game is, once you get on a streak, you're just like, okay, I'm just continuing the streak, and just like there's not.
Yeah, you need something to play for.
Yeah,
but the main game, I mean, I have it on PS4 and PC. Maybe I'm gonna have to get it on Xbox. Oh, I started for the third time. I started the GTA 5 story over again, so I'm gonna run through that for a third time. It never gets old. I love it. It's one of the greatest stories, one of the greatest games in all of creation. So
my favorite part in that entire story mode is when oh my god,
Michael, Trevor, Franklin, when
Franklin gets the shop. I always just wanted to call him Frank, but I was like, I know his name's not Frank. I just couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
When Franklin gets the auto shop and you can just like do free mods on all the cars, I was like, well, there goes like 90% of my time. I just stopped playing the story mode for
just go out
months.
For hours just searching for cars.
Oh yeah. Like, I wonder what custom mods you can do to this weird ass looking van. Let's go and take it in. I found a pickup truck. What can we do to the pickup truck?
I'm going to play as soon as we're done. All right. But speaking of, let's get to it. We're playing All-Star Pro Wrestling 3 here. This is, before we jump into it officially, this is one of our favorite series. So much so that I have the poster of All-Star Pro Wrestling 2 thanks to Megamark Tecker, who helped me acquire that from eBay. And that is still in the tube, ready to go somewhere in this. I'm running out of wall space in here, but I also have a garage and a basement, so I'm working on it. I have a bunch of posters that need to go up.
Oh, well, I feel like this is one of the games, and I feel like we may have mentioned it last week, that like kind of snuck up on us. We weren't expecting to like this game. It's not a, it's a well enough known series, but it's not touted as one of the greats. And I think that, maybe we've done our due diligence here in our small way of being like, hey, here's shining a light on this podcast. Go out and check it out. But enough dilly-dallying. Let's more big picture. Let's get into the nitty gritty. It's time for the deep dive. All right, so All-Star Pro Wrestling 3 released August 7th, 2003 for the PlayStation 2, published by Square Enix, developed by Square Enix. Yep. Competition. Other wrestling games in 2003. You've got WWE Crush Hour, WWE Raw 2, WWE WrestleMania.
That's 19.
I was going to say, do you want to say it?
George is reading Roman numerals.
WWE SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. WWE Mobile Madness, that's one that we got to play. Backyard Wrestling, Don't Try This at Home, and King of Colosseum. So, with the exception...
half of King of Colosseum.
That's true, because there's three versions?
There's red and green, like Pokemon.
Yeah. So with the exception of one half of King of Colosseum and Mobile Madness, we've played every other game on this list, all of them available in the archive. Now, as the name would suggest, All-Star Pro Wrestling 3 is the third, and in this case, final, in the Square Enix Wrestling Simulation series of games. And you've got wrestlers from New Japan, from Pro Wrestling Noah 01. And let's talk about something that John and I talked, I almost think more than the gameplay in our gameplay video, the entrances.
Oh, yeah. I was waiting for you to bring this up.
Stunning. We'll do a big breakdown of it later, but it is a highlighted feature of this game. You've got mocapped authentic entrances featuring some of the most amazing entrance themes. The one that jumps out to me immediately, Flash Funk's Scorpios was really great.
So cool.
I also really enjoyed Vader's. Vader's was really awesome, and of course
Liger. Yeah,
I would say how could you not put Liger up there as one of the all-time entrance
Square
themes?
Enix, man. Just think of the games that they're a part of: Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, Tomb Raider, and then they made a wrestling game. Like, if we got Square Enix to make like a WWE game in the States, not just this, or if this was released in the States, even under a different title or whatever, this would have been like game changing, because I'm definitely not saying it's better than Here Comes the Pain. I think it's a little more complicated controller wise and gameplay wise. It's not as like grab and go and triangles to run, blah, blah, blah. It's a little more difficult, but it could have been a real game changer.
I don't know if I could top that. Like, that's a perfect explanation. Square Enix not known for wrestling games by any means, but they've done it here in this game, and they do it not only passingly, but very well. And it is an interesting thought. John, we're putting together a list, and I think that maybe you should add this to the list.
Okay. I'm not going to say a word. You'll find out next week what we're talking about.
But I think that would be a good one for that. But let's break down some of the key gameplay features here. So you've got systems. Is that what you think that we should have? Features, systems,
kind of upgrades from All-Star 2.
Oh, okay.
Because All-Star 1, we both future endeavored. All-Star 2, we both played it forever.
Yeah, it's a
just
series that's grown, and and this is the thing. And I feel like we talk about this a lot with other games that shows the love, the care that goes into game development. When you see a game over multiple titles or entries in a series evolve and change, and it's not just, hey, just the graphics got better because we're on a different console. Like, you see the progression and the addition and how new features and styles and systems get added into the game, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the first one. You have tension, which is something like, this is what I'm saying. Like SmackDown versus Raw, you get your finisher, you hit your finisher, you win. There's no really struggle. There's no back and forth. The tension plays like, it kind of controls the flow of the match, and it tells you low, mid, or high, like in the middle, like in your HUD. So if you're low tension, that's how you're gonna like fight. You're gonna fight like, you're starting a match. As it gets higher, you get more aggressive. You do different moves. We noticed this with running the ropes, how we're doing more Irish whips and power moves when you get the high tension. And then the more damage you suffer, your tension goes up. So as you get that higher tension, you finally like well, let's get into the next one. You get into rush mode, which is kind of like Mario grabbing the star. You're going a mile a minute. You're running around the ring
like that.
You're hitting people. You're getting up super fast. It's not your finisher mode per se, but it's pretty much like the star from Mario mixed with special mode from No Mercy, where you just kip up right away.
100%.
And that's really it. And you engage this mode by pressing all of the R's and the L's at once. And you kind of do like a little Goldberg taunt to get there.
I'd say it's Goldberg. It's a little bit like a Dragon Ball Z power-up kind of thing.
It's cool. And you also you counter moves easier, which is not the easiest thing to do in this game to begin with.
Countering is difficult. And it almost, with like the added movement speed that you get, it's almost hard to control your character because you play so much of the match at a certain speed, and especially when you're playing as someone like Vader or I'm trying to think of who else would be someone who's like or Kenta.
Yeah, Masawa, anyhow.
Yeah, like people who are not necessarily moving like Liger
Big
like
guys.
Scorpio. And all of a sudden you're in rush mode and you're like flying all around the ring and everything is faster. And you lose your timing for hitting Irish whip moves.
There's no targeting to begin with in this game. You have to face your opponent to hit everything, which is that's a flaw on my book.
But it's a consistent flaw. It's not like this was added. It's been that way the whole time.
Yeah, you know it's coming. Yeah. Also, when you're in rush mode, you can steal a finisher, which is cool by pressing R1 and R2. Cool. You do a little taunt, and you can steal your opponent's finisher. So, one thing we did try, and it didn't really work
I don't know
the way, but when you start a match, you do a special taunt, you press L and L2, you do a little taunt, and you could do a little slap fight. I remember doing this in All-Star 2.
Yeah.
To an extent. But we weren't able... It's
almost kind of like in Fire Pro when you go strike for strike.
Yeah. I don't know why we couldn't get it in this game. We couldn't hit it.
I was going to say that our timing is getting bad in our old age, and now we can't do we can't hit 4 buttons at the same time.
Or just the style of wrestlers we picked against each other, I guess.
Also, that's possible. But let's talk about the actual game matches, the match types that you get here. So obviously, under your normal match, you've got your exhibition, you've got a title match, which you can go for the titles from New Japan Pro Wrestling, the GHC titles from Noah, and the fictional All-Star Wrestling Glory titles, which are, as the name suggests, exclusive for this game. You've got a technical match, which you can only win by pin or submission or TKO. You choose which one. This was one that I thought was interesting. So obviously, we've gotten instances or ways that you can make these matches in other games. Pin only, submission only, knockout only, a finisher only, which is...
You used to do that all the time in Attitude.
Which is cool, and something that I feel like is present in more international games and not so much in American games nowadays.
Yeah, you don't see that.
You could still do that in Fire Pro. You could still do that in a lot of other games, but you can't. I don't think you could set that up in 2K.
No, I don't think you can.
And if it is, it's not something that's highlighted. And then there is a weapon only. So it would essentially be you have to hit your opponent with the steel chair. First person hit someone with the steel chair wins.
That could be so quick. That's like a tables match seconds. In WrestleMania 19.
It's Cody Rhodes hitting a dropkick on the Big Show and making him step through the table.
What?
You don't remember that match?
No.
It was Cody Rhodes versus the Big Show for the Intercontinental title match, and it was a tables match. And Big Show was trying to get back into the ring. Cody Rhodes dropkicks him, and he just takes one step off of the apron and steps through the table, and the match ends. And Cody's the new champ.
I don't think I really watched much around then, so that would explain a lot.
It stands out because it is just I believe that this was either the wrap of a feud or the midpoint of a feud, and it was just you're building up to this whole thing, and then all of a sudden he just steps through the table. Oh my god, it was so funny.
Oh, Extreme Rules 2012. Oh no, this is a video. I just clicked a video game. Oh yeah, I see it here.
A video sim
from Raw. I was a little bit out at this point.
I don't remember necessarily if I watched it live. I may have just seen clips of it at the time, or
Librarian Eve Torres. I was definitely watching.
And then your other singles matches, you've got a tournament, you've got a tag match, a battle royal, and you've got what they call Power Make, which is their creative
story mode.
Yeah,
in one.
It's their full creative thing.
This Power Make mode is the most Square Enix thing about this game. Because as soon as you enter,
the name is very Square Enix.
You're met with characters that just scream Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
So you go in here, you talk to people in the gym, in the wrestling school, you're in the airport, you talk to them all. It's basically cutscenes with text, as you would see in a Fire Pro or Fight Forever, any of those types of games. I think we played one. What did we play recently that was like this? Oh, we compared it to Legends 2 for the Game Boy, the story mode with
Oh,
Jimmy
yes,
Hart.
yes, yes.
So it's similar to that. You make decisions based on that. There's these slight cutscenes, but you could also enter tournaments and gauntlets where you face up to like 7 wrestlers at a time with your health not regenerating, which is not ideal until you're a little higher up, because you could rank your wrestler up, and this is the way to do so. And then you could go and play as your wrestler with the high rank after you're done with Power Make mode. So you receive a grade after the end of each match as well, and that's how you rank up. So still similar to some of the stuff you see today. Whether it's AEW, WWE, they all kind of have that.
So what's your preferred method where it is present in the match and you know where you are throughout the match, like how 2K does it, or how it is in this game and in Fight Forever, where you don't know what your ranking is until the end of the match?
I guess. Oh, I don't know. Like 2K is cool because you could see like, oh, I'm at 5 stars. I could finish now. Where Fight Forever, it's like, what did I get? What did I get? What did I get?
Yeah.
And it's like,
which is like,
only
what's
3?
better, the planning and being like, oh, I know that I have to do a couple more finishers, or I have to start changing up my move type, or knowing or hoping that you had a banger of a match and then seeing that.
For challenges, you won't have to like do it again.
I would say that's the thing for challenges. I feel like I would.
Have you gotten a 7-star match yet?
I didn't even know if that was possible.
Yeah, you can go past 6. I did it with once.
Damn.
I did a what's it called? The barbed wire death match with Jeff Hardy and Darby, and I got it somehow. I don't know how, but I got it.
Oh,
I don't know how. But yeah, you can't really do titles or tournaments in the exhibition until you finish and get an S rank, which is the decent rank in this Power Make mode. I said Power Take, the Power Taker. Power Make mode with your created wrestler. So, and as far as the created wrestlers go, we're not looking at anything too in depth here. You could create people that they are what they are. They're okay. I'll say that they're okay. George is speechless.
I'll be honest with you. I scrolled down in the notes because I was looking at the creative screenshots that we have.
They're not great.
No. The whole, when you say that it looks Square Enix-y, it almost feels like it's not the same game. Like, whether or not you have played this game, go out of your way, look up the screenshot of Power Make mode for All-Star Pro Wrestling 3. And then remember that this is a part of a wrestling game. It looks like a weird combination of, like John mentioned earlier, like a Final Fantasy screen, like a character screen for Final Fantasy. But then also they were just like, oh, well, what if it also kind of looked like the THQ games? Like that kind of character style, like where like the titles are in that style.
Our buddy Dre41 Gaming actually has a full episode on his YouTube creating the wrestler for Power Make mode and all that. It actually kind of reminds me of Mayhem a little bit, the way that one is mixed with the SmackDowns and like No Mercy even a little bit. It's just a little more in depth than Mayhem. I don't know. Like we're used to what we have now. But
I think that's the problem, is that we've come to be so comfortable with like how the status quo of like create a wrestler has been, that when it's like anything that's even remotely different, we're like, is it good? Is it bad? Is it just there?
Yeah. Well, I like that it's part of the career mode. So now you also have a few special modes here. So when you unlock all 4 chapters in the career mode, this basically lets you change the moves and renames all the moves and wrestlers in the game. So it's basically letting you customize the wrestlers in the game once you're done with Power Make, which is pretty cool. I don't know if necessarily that's a perk. I know people like doing it, but
it's there.
It's there. I mean, I guess there's a market for it and people like doing it. So, and
it doesn't hurt other aspects. Like I would say that this is a bonus feature because it doesn't like hinder any other section of the game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's for sure. And again, more content, the better. And this is definitely more content.
Yeah.
Now, when you get to the options here, there are certain things you could turn on and off, and that is pretty much friendly fire for the referee and your own partner. So say say me and George are tagging, I get mad at him. I could just turn around and pop him right in the face.
I almost turned on this Game Truck code in back when we were doing GMP 64 because that's a thing where you can put in the code and it lets you focus and turn on your tag partner.
I think we used it for a cutscene.
I think we also used it for a cutscene, but I was just like, this would be great. I don't know about you, but I kind of miss it.
I kind of miss it too, but we don't have the time for
There's
that.
absolutely no time to do it, but
Yeah.
like I want to do like a episode, remind ourselves of how much work it is, and be like, got it.
Yeah. Now your venues in here, you have Tokyo, Nagoya, Osaka, and Fukuoka. Fukuoka?
I got nothing.
You try. Fukuoka. Fukuoka. Sure. Now, your ring select, you could pick New Japan, 01 Noah, or there are some just Square Enix All-Star Pro Wrestling rings. And your announcers, you could pick Hidekazu Tanaka from New Japan Pro Wrestling or Ryu Nakata from Noah. Now, as we're struggling with names, do we want to start reading this roster?
Do we want to do that, or do you want to do the...
No, there's not that many names here. We could split this up.
Okay. All right. I'll start us off. Your roster for All-Star Pro Wrestling 3 is as follows. You have Akira Tao. Oh, man. I thought the second one I'm already screwed up. Akitoshi Saito. Ao Hyuga? Battle Liger, Don Fry, El Samurai, Hiroyoshi Tenzen, Jumbo Tsuruta, Jun Akiyama, Jushin Thunder Liger, Kazuo Yamazuki, Kazuyuki Fujita, Kensuke Sasaki, Kenta Kobashi, Koji Kanemoto, Manabu Nakanishi, Masahiro Chono, and Johnny, you can go.
Masao Enao, Masato Tanaka, Minoru Tanaka, Matsuharu Masawa, Mitsuya Mamoto, Nomichi Marufuji, Osamu Nishimura, Power Warrior, Riki Choshu, Scorpio, that's Too Cold Scorpio, it's awesome, Scott Norton, Shinjiro Otani, Shinya Hashimoto, Shiro Koshinaka, Tadeo Yasuda, Takao Omori, Takashi Izuka, Takashi Segura, Takeshi Morishima, Takeshi Rikyo, Tamen Honda, Tatsuhito Takawa, Tatsumi Fujinami, Vader, Yoshihiro Takayama, Yoshinari Ogawa, Yoshinibu Kanemura, Yuji Nagata, and Yukata Yoshi. Jesus Christ.
I want to say that there was a point where we got like pretty good at doing the names because we did like 7 like in a row, like every other game.
They were all like pre 1997. They were all the same.
And now we're like,
now
we got nothing. We're like back to square one of being real bad with the roster reads.
All right, but let's talk about the artwork.
It's
I liked All-Star Pro Wrestling too.
I almost don't want to make this the artwork.
So if you're not familiar, please Google All-Star Pro Wrestling 3 cover because it just looks like a guy flashing giants.
Yeah, that's
with broken Coliseum columns in the foreground.
It's not ideal.
It's not great.
No, I actually think that it may be bad.
If it didn't say pro wrestling, it's very questionable what this game is.
I still think it's questionable. I'm still not convinced on what kind of game this is.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But the back is a good back cover
back is
has
better.
It's better. Yeah, I won't say good. It's got kind of like the create
2 is
parameters
so
of power
good.
make. I know.
I forgot how good. Even 1 is good, and 1 is just an empty ring.
We made 8x10s based on 2 with us on them also.
We did.
We'd not be doing that on 3 unless we have like
We need more people.
Troy Nelson, or it kind of looks like CPA doing the Flash. You think we can get him to revive the Nick Stap gear to do it?
Yeah. It would have to be Nick Stap.
The back has the New Japan, the Noah, and the 01 logos. It's got some screenshots. It's got screenshots of the entrance. I mean, you sold me just on that alone. And then some screenshots of like some double team moves and some cool moves. And then the power make mode, career mode.
It's like the presentation of the game and the cover it's 2 different games.
Yeah, well, you know, if you're familiar with the series, you know this is coming out. I'm sure you know the hype behind it. We always base it off of like, if you're passing it in the store, would you buy it based on what it is? Chances are you already know it's a thing. And
it's a third in a series.
But let's talk about the actual art style, the actual graphics of this game itself. I think it's visually beautiful.
No notes.
It's better than, honestly, if you look at what's out at the time, which is Here Comes the Pain, and I guess we'll just base it on that, Raw 2 and WrestleMania 19. This stands alone up at the top. I think Here Comes the Pain thing, especially that Rey Mysterio graphic on the back of the cover, it looks so good. In the game, it looks great too. I just think this is like above and beyond. WrestleMania 19 is a little more GameCube-y. That's its own category, GameCube-y. And Raw 2, we all know how that one is. It's just not good. I think these
I
are
almost think
unmatched.
it's on par here. I'm looking up screenshots of Here Comes the Pain. Everyone is just very smooth in this era of games. There's no...
Oh, yeah, look up Raw 2. It's like full smooth.
Everyone... It's just like an eel.
My thing is, the SmackDown 2, if you look at it as a whole, the wrestlers look great. Look at the ring. Look at the stage. It looks like a video game, whereas you're looking at All-Star, the complete package is night and day different. And I think that's a big thing, like with the studios. Like THQ did this type of stuff. Square Enix did some realistic, visually impressive, cool stuff at the time. Like think of those scenes from Final Fantasy and all that. Like they're amazing. And it translates over to this, even when you're looking at like Masawa walking down the ring with the pyro.
That's what I was going to say. That's where the effort and the
lighting.
Pedigree, not
no pun intended.
Using a no wrestling pun intended, but those hours of creating all these cutscenes and this world building of all these RPGs, it really pays off when you look at the entrances. Because I mean, let's address the elephant in the room here.
I only gained some weight.
The New Japan's got like a 40-foot entrance ramp. Everyone's got an Undertaker entrance, with the exception of who was it that essentially just ran? Scorpio danced the whole time.
Scorpio did a little run in the middle of the dance.
Oh, I was going to say, or was it Vader was the fastest because he just didn't do anything on the ramp. He came out, he came up from the middle of the stage, he walked down the stairs and beelined it to the ring.
Yeah,
that was it.
Scorpio does his full dance going down to the ring.
It's like Mania Taker
that did the mocap for that, not like an indie wrestler, because they would have had to figure that out, how to do that.
A little improv got to be in there.
Poor young boy.
Oh my God.
But overall, I think everything in here, the depth of fieldness from the arena to the crowd's not the best. It's very flat, but when you look at it, it's dimmed. It has that dimension to it that makes it awesome. It looks like a grand arena. Everything in here. Your HUD is kind of small and up to the top. It's a little arcadey. You have the body meter. It's a little different. I don't think it's overbearingly big. We're not on widescreen at the time, so it's still up at the top. It's not like stretched along.
Yeah.
The time kind of stays down in the corner. I do like most Japanese games, put the name of the move that's happening down on the bottom. And I
what I don't know if I need?
SmackDown had that also.
I don't know if I need the verses in the middle.
No. That's not necessary to know the match type because you obviously picked the match type, and I don't think you're going to really forget it during the match.
And you could probably just tuck the match type either in like the cluster with the time or on the opposite side of the bottom left.
Or just lower the opacity.
Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily needs to be this big thing in the center of the screen.
But
man,
I also love the ring gear. Like you have full blown, like when you look at Liger, he's got the cape, he's got the beautiful mask. Everyone's got their entrance jackets. There's just nothing. You know what? Vader's the one that's like cheaped out because he doesn't even have a mask. He just walks to the ring.
Watch the playthrough. The whole first like 30 seconds of Vader's entrance, this Clash is going. Is he gonna have the helmet on? Come on, have the helmet on. Come on, have the helmet on. And then he comes up and he doesn't have it. It's like, oh, come on.
I get it. I mean, this is, if anything, he should have had like that black like executioner style mask he used to have.
You wouldn't have had the ref hits if they put the mask in.
Yeah, something like that. At least give me like his other mask, his Japan mask, the black mask with the V on it.
Yeah, some kind of mask is. I wonder if maybe it's an alternate costume.
It's possible. We didn't try that.
We did not venture into the world of alternative costumes just because the game itself was
translation barriers and.
Well, not even that. It's the game itself is fun. Then you get lost in like the gameplay that you're just like, I'm gonna just keep playing matches, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh, well, I've played this game for too many hours now. I have to go do other things.
Yeah, but I gotta say, every single step anyone takes, there's like meaning to it. The mocap is beautiful. The double team moves work great. They're beautiful. The way you push your opponent into the Irish whip from the middle of the ring, that's like real pro wrestling style.
Did we talk about the fatigue system?
The rush, the low, mid, and...
So if after rush... if you continue to run and like if you do too many like I don't know, running attacks, you'll kind of stop and you'll like kneel over for a little bit and kind of need to rest, and you'll move slowly and you kind of throw punches in like a fatigued way, and it's I think it's a dated mechanic by this point. There was
it's like stamina.
There's a long stretch of games that all had like this stamina system where if you did too many moves in rapid succession, your character would kind of like slow down and stutter and kind of hit the brakes and yeah. You don't really see that too much anymore, but it's here, it's present, it is a sign of the times, and I think that that is the most thing that signifies the era of this game, is because so many of the wrestling games had this system.
Yeah, it kind of just goes with the flow of the whole game and trying to get that rush mode. So
yeah, and
it is what it is.
Interrupt the flow of the match. It's just something that I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that this was a thing in games for like 7 generations of games. Like everything had this.
But man, going back to like just what was out this year, what a banger year!
Raw 2, man.
Oh,
Johnny Clash's favorite game.
Did you know? Did you know to get streamers in your entrance, set your announcer as Ryu Nakata and select the Square Enix map?
Did you know while the original soundtrack from All-Star Pro Wrestling 2 was published by DigiCube, this game's soundtrack was not?
Did you know All-Star Pro Wrestling 3 is on eBay from $23 to $45 used, with all 3 games going for $59 to $78 together?
Damn.
I mean, I looked at the 3-packs there.
Yeah?
I looked
Get
at
itchy?
them. I just looked. I'm having some work done on the house, so we'll wait on that. I'm out of water. How do you feel about hints? We talk about seltzers all the time. What about hints?
Never had hint, I don't think.
So it's literally a hint of flavor. But here's the trick. When you drink half of it, just fill it back up with water and you have a brand new hint.
Okay.
It's just a little lighter flavor.
I had a regular Gatorade.
There you go.
So regular fruit punch Gatorade.
It's not that hot in here today. I got the air blown through the door.
Proud of you. I'm glad that you're not
But all right.
You're not in a 103-degree room recording the podcast right now.
No, it's not that bad. It's time to sit back and relax. We got some bad news. After 206 games,
Leave the memories alone.
The music we use for ratings and reviews, that beautiful melody, finally got flagged on YouTube. It's no longer a part of the show, guys. We're gonna have something new right here because it's time for some R&R, some ratings and reviews. We have the game FAQ user rating here for All-Star Pro Wrestling 3. The user average is a 4 out of 5 stars, one of the higher ones we've seen of the user ratings. Difficulty is a 3 out of 5, which is just right. And the length hours played is 18 hours with a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So, honestly, not a bad rating.
Par.
It's I would say 3 out of 5 is about where the difficulty is at because it is a learning curve to figure it out. But once you get rocking and rolling, I think you could carry on a nice flow of a match.
Yeah, I don't think that it's... Is it? I don't know if it's so much that like the game itself is slow, or if it's that
it's not.
We play so many other.
Game.
Yeah, it's one. It's not a button masher, and two, we play a lot of different formats of wrestling video games, both on the podcast and in our free time. So it's just like, was our experience slow because we're trying to play it like it's Fight Forever, or is it slow because like it's intentionally like meant not to be a fast paced game? Which
it's a sim as a sim can get.
Yeah, I don't think this is. This is intentionally, realistically paced matches on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah. So with that, it's time to offer up our rating.
Oh,
because George, would you look at the time?
Would you look at the time?
It's time to rate the game.
The game!
One day I'll get a watch. But Johnny Clash, I would like to know what your rating of All-Star Pro Wrestling 3 is. Will you give it a play it forever or a future endeavor?
Well, like I said before, All-Star Pro Wrestling 1 got a double future endeavor. All-Star Pro Wrestling 2, we ranted and raved. It got a double play it forever. I'm going to put this one up there with it as well and give it a play it forever.
Woo! Righty.
I feel like I know what you're about to say. Let me have it. Play it forever, future endeavor.
Same. Play it forever. Woo!
I already wrote play it forever for both of us in the Excel sheet. I'm getting really good at this.
Oh, yeah. I got to tell you, man, I have this idea for a shirt now, and I just want to do a black shirt with white text that just says FUTCH.
Future.
It just says Future on the shirt.
Listen, we have a TeePublic store where we could publish wherever we want.
Oh, no. That's a pro wrestling tease.
Oh, God.
That's going to be sold to the masses.
All right.
Everyone's going to be walking around with a double Feud shirt.
Sure. But all right, that's the game. Let us know what you think about All-Star Pro Wrestling 3. If you're unfamiliar, check out our playthrough on YouTube. Are you ready for the soft lock question of the week?
This is a good one. All right, the Soft Lock is a segment of the podcast where one of our mega marks from our Patreon asks us a question, a topic to debate. You can call it a question of the week if you'd like. This week, it comes from the Average Gamer, and the Average Gamer would like us to know, or would like us to discuss, if NetherRealm, company that makes Mortal Kombat, maybe you've heard of it, is making a WWE versus AEW fighting game, and you can choose 5 playable characters from each company to start, and 2 DLC characters. Now, is it 2 DLC characters for WWE and 2 DLC characters from AEW, or is it just 1 and 1?
1 and 1 or 2 for 1, whatever you want.
Oh, okay. So do we want to make each our own rosters, or do you want to do WWE, and I'll do AEW, and we'll make a game together?
I have already mine written out, the entire thing.
Wow, shit. Okay.
So whatever you want. If you want me to say mine, you could say. You could take time to pen yours if you want to chime in.
Go through yours. I'll make mine, and then we'll go from there.
All right. So my WWE roster would be Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley, Seth Rollins, Cody, and then the boss, Roman Reigns.
Okay. So I have Roman, Triple H. I was gonna put Rhea. I was gonna say Ray and Seth.
Ray's cool. My AEW roster would be Britt Baker, Jon Moxley, Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, and the mini boss would be MJF.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna say MJF, Adam Cole, Jericho.
Oh, Jericho.
Orange Cassidy, and Danhausen.
Okay. Now my
And
deals.
I was going to say, because I didn't know. So this was the thing. Are the mini bosses and the final bosses, because in certain games they're playable characters.
Way too complicated.
And in other games they're not. So in my head, I had the mini bosses and the final bosses, where the final boss was depending on what brand you're playing from. So if you're going through the story mode, the tower mode as an AEW guy, you have to fight. The mini boss is, you know what would be a good one for AEW? The mini boss is Luchasaurus and the main boss is Christian.
Ugh. Love Christian. The other one, not so much. All right.
And then for WWE, it would be the mini boss is Triple H, and would be, who would the mini boss be?
I'm just saying my whole main boss is Vince McMahon. Done.
Yeah, that's what I said. The main boss would be Vince McMahon, but I was going to do like Vince McMahon in a mech suit. Because it's got to be, in a mustache mech suit. That's what it's going to be.
Now my DLC is John Cena and CM Punk.
DLC, I'm going to do one and one. Would be Jade for AEW, and then for WWE, I'd do I do like Finn Balor. The Finn Balor one is good.
Like Carmelo Hayes or something.
Oh, Carmelo Hayes. That's a good one. Tony D'Angelo.
The hockey player?
The Don of NXT.
Oh, sure. I mean, I know him as the Carolina Hurricane / Philadelphia Flyers / ex-New York Ranger who got punched in the face by Igor Shesterkin. Or whoever it was, Georgiev. That's who I know him as. Anyway, tell us your roster for AEW versus WWE, the fighting game from NetherRealm. But George, you ready to find out what we're playing next week here on the podcast?
I'm genuinely afraid.
Why are you afraid?
I don't know. This is usually my thing, and then when you pick the games, it like throws off the. I don't like not being in the know. Like the picking the game has really been my thing since the beginning. So it's like a weird.
This is how I felt for the past almost 4 years. We are
Remember when I used to be like, pick a console, and then and it was Neo Geo for like 4 months because you never picked the Neo Geo.
Yeah, we are playing AEW Elite General Manager.
Oh, okay.
A little game I played a while back. I still have it downloaded. I am gonna dive back in, and we're gonna break it down.
All right.
It's been out over a year, so
kind of excited about this one. All right. I don't think I really have given this one a fair shake, so I'm excited to dive into this over the next week or so. But all right, guys, make sure to go and check out youtube.com/GameMarksPodcast for video versions of the podcast, weekly playthrough videos, and a whole lot more. GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod to get yourself the double fuge or the double piff shirt coming soon. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for this show early and ad free at GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. And guys, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Dink shirt, also available at prowrestlingtees.com/GameMarksPod.
Buy them. I need diapers.
All money from that shirt goes exclusively to the Daddy Clash Diaper Fund. And please make sure to leave a 5-star review and a rating for this podcast on both Apple Podcast and Spotify. And if you have a product or service that you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. Johnny Clash, another week, another game. Whenever you're ready, sir, do that thing.
Game over. Marks.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.